Let's turn to this now. Fezile Ngubane's parents have welcomed the police's decision to clear him as a suspect in the murder of Olorato Mongale. The 40-year-old was initially named in the case, but police have since confirmed that he is a victim of a stolen identity by the suspect. Let's take you live now to our Silethiwe Ndlovu, who is with the family. Silethiwe, what are we learning?
Well, we are learning quite a lot at this hour, Thabo. As you can hear from the conversations that are happening around me, I am with the Ngubane family. I'm just going to bring them into the conversation now. We are firstly joined then by the father of Fezile Ngubane, who is going to join us shortly. But first, let's talk to Fezile at this particular moment.
What would you like South Africans to know about you, Fezile? You are almost 40, you've had challenges and difficulties in your life, and you also acknowledge some of the mishaps you've made, but where one, this case is concerned, but secondly, what really would you want South Africans to know about Fezile Ngubane?
No, I would like South Africa to know that I've never been involved in crime. I've never been a person who's been a fan of crime. I don't entertain crime. It's just that the addiction, the life that I've put myself in, is the one that's really, hurt me a lot, because for these 3 days, as I was in the holding cells and I was shaking for my life, I saw that maybe this is my last opportunity in life to turn back to doing good, because most of my life I hurt my parents and I hurt mostly myself. So I would just like to say to South Africa that anybody who thought I was involved in this should know for a fact that I've never done anything wrong. I've never left home. I've always been with my parents, and I've never laid a hand on a woman. I've only got one child in my life. She just finished her matric. So I'm not a violent person. My neighbors know me and everybody, because as the people around my area were saying that there's not an inch that this guy is involved in this. But what can we say? If the police wants you, the police wants you. You're involved, they say you're involved. Okay.
And perhaps just quickly, Fezile, from my end, are you seeking some assistance in terms of your addiction? Are you wanting help to be assisted in that regard?
I'll kindly be glad if help was offered.
I think let's just bring in the father of Fezile Ngubane to speak to us. Baba, besacela usondele kancane uzokhuluma nathi sibe sisaxoxisana no Fezile. Siyezwa kuthiwa ngoLesihlanu baba uwena ohambisa uFezile emaphoyiseni. Mhlambe nje ukhuluma ngaleso sinqumo ukuthi yini ekwenza ukuthi usithathe?
Into eyenza ukuthi ngisithathe ingoba bengazi ukuthi kulesimo abekwa kusona akakwazi ukuba kusona, ngoba ngiyazi umuntu ohlale eyiwashela imoto usuku nosuku azaqede ngabo 9 ngo10. Uma linethi izulu ifakwe kwikapoti ekhaya abayiwashele khona kuze kushaye ngisho ole past 10 late. Kodwa ke ngithe mase ngizwa ukuthi kulesimo ngase ngizwela ukuthi ma esetholakala ngoba athi amaphoyisa acela simlethe uma simthola.
Ngokuzwa kwenu baba, siyazi ukuthi uOlorato Mongale utholakale ngomsombuluko. Ngicela nje sibuyele ekuqaleni. Ngokwazi kwenu wayekuphi uFezile ngomsombuluko?
Njengoba ngimntanami ngibeka ngithi nje isikhathi esiningi kusuka ngomsombuluko kuze kuyoshaya omunye umsombuluko uhlala lapha emotweni, imali nganethi nje baseyimotweni, imali netha ke kuyenzeka bayifake eqapoti futhi baziwashele khona lapha ekhaya. Umuntu nje ohlala emotweni njengoba namanje ngabe ukhona nje kuba isimo sibanga njena njengoba esahleli.
Mhlawumbe ukukhuluma nathi ngokuthi kwenzakaleni epolice station, siyezwa baba ukhuluma ngokuthi maningi kakhulu ama-ID atholakele, kwaphinde kwatholakala nama-ID alezi abanye abangani bakhe awasha nabo imoto. Ngiyacabanga ubabe bethe awu10. Sichazele nje ukuthi nitheme nifike emaphoyiseni kwabe sekutholakalani?
Ngifikile emaphoyiseni ngawachazela abantwana ngeqa i-office engene kulona wabengicelile bangiqondanise nophethe kulesa sikhashana ngifike ngaso ngoLesine. Ngimhambisa ngoLesihlanu ngimhambisa khona sengimtholile ngoba ngaqala umbheka kuLesine ngamthola ke ngoLesihlanu ukuthi la ubhace khona nakho ngase ngimhambisa ngithe mangibatshela cha ngize ngaye bathi ngani ngabacacisela basebethi ke kulungile mntana.
Ngicela nje sisondeze uFezile angene kulolu daba esikhuluma ngalo. Ngicabanga ukuthi kubalekile nokuthi umama mhlambe abe esondela ebe nje emala eceleni ukuze sizokhuluma nomndeni uhlangene. Ngibuyele nje Fezile kuwe ngakamfaka umama kulolu daba sime nje kanjena. uFezile uma nje ungamchaza kulaba bantu abangamazi ungathi unjani?
uFezile umuntu ophansi angili ngithanda nje ukuyiphilela nabantu angiyena umuntu onodlame angiyena umuntu ongahloniphi although isimo sempilo yami ngikhetha impilo wrong yokubhema idakamizwa kodwa ngihlukumeze nabazali bami kodwa otherwise inhlonipho ngiyabanika ngiyazama ngibona ngikuyona le situation.
Maybe just to go back to the very beginning, we do know that the police have mentioned that you stay on the same street as the deceased, this now being Philangenkosi Makhanya. Just take us back to the beginning. How do you know the alleged suspect, and just talk to us about this whole ordeal and how you came to be part of the people that they mentioned to be an initial suspect?
I would say he stays one street, I stay one street next to him, so but I wouldn't put him as a bad guy. You know, sometimes things in life takes you to the things he has maybe been through. You know, put him through to shut. Maybe he turned wrong into women. And I would kindly like to say to Olorato's family that I wasn't involved in this crime, and may Olorato's soul rest in peace. And to South Africa that I haven't been to Joburg since 2021 when I was in Waterford School. So I've been around Durban. So now, how would that be possible that I've killed a girl in such far places? Because it was him and his friend, as the police said, and as the police confirmed. And the police didn't even harass me. They were quite professional. I wouldn't like to cause a drama and, you know, maybe say I'm suing the states, I'm in fear. No, because those guys kind of like took me in a very professional way.
So just talk to us about the second alleged suspect at this moment. Do you know Bongani Mthimkhulu, or do you not know that alleged suspect?
No, I don't know him. I know only Pila because he's my neighbor.
So you don't even know the Bongani Mthimkhulu?
No, I haven't met him before.
What do you make of this whole situation where you find yourself in a state where you are now initially a suspect that's being named in a murder case? What do you make of this whole situation? Earlier on, your mother did mention that perhaps looking at the police, they need to ensure that they act accordingly before they release any statements so as to avoid any confusion with the public. What do you make of this whole ordeal?
I think it's first of all, I would kindly like to say, as I said before, that it was my carelessness. I was the one who entrusted him with my personal details. So if that kind of linked me to the case, I had to be answerable as I was now, to be questionable. That how do I indulge in such a case? Because now my documents were they in the case, so I had to be questionable.
Talk to me about the fact that apparently not only was your ID found, I mean, you were the one that was with the police. Your ID is not the only ID that was found. I believe your parents mentioned that there were 10 other IDs that were found with the alleged suspect. Those IDs belonging to some of the people that you know, and apparently the alleged suspect took those IDs to assist with helping you get your grant, and this is now 350 to the amount of 350. Talk to us about that. What did the alleged suspect say when he took your ID?
You know, he said it'd make our lives better, maybe get us Uber in time, you know, get our lives straight, maybe make us better, maybe buy you a car and such that, because now we'll give you that 500 rand. So that's how I got lured into the whole situation.
I'm going to bring your mother into the conversation shortly, but I just want to talk about some of the challenges then that your parents mentioned. Talk to us about the assistance that you need. I know your parents mentioned that they've been in and out of different centers with you trying to get assistance. Talk to us about the assistance that you need.
No, I would kindly say the assistance, maybe it's this time I'm the one supposed to assist myself. But I would kindly like if I could get help from someone, it would be very grateful, because there's no turning back now. It's done. There's no other turning. There was no other going back. I've got to look forward.
And do you feel vindicated now that you've been cleared? Or are you possibly maybe looking at speaking to the police? I know your parents mentioned that they were quite outraged by this whole ordeal. Speak to us. Do you feel vindicated by the police clearing you?
Yeah, I would say I'm still a bit scared, yeah. I'm still a bit scared, not only from the police, because people give, negative comments on Facebook, even though I've been cleared, but some people say, nah, it's still this, it's still that, which is not even making me comfortable. As I said, I don't even want y'all to meet me where I'm staying because I don't know what might happen. Some people got aggressive with the whole thing.
And maybe just to keep you there, I know your mother said she doesn't want to appear, and our camera operator will make sure that that doesn't happen. We're just going to focus on Fezile and not to step into the shot rather. But just speak to us about your thoughts. You heard that your son is one of the initial suspects that were mentioned. Your reaction to those news?
Okay. Kumina Mam Ngubane kungiphathe kabuhlungu kakhulu makuthiwa umadala uyoboshwa. Umadala lapha kwi-section yami uthandwa yinoma imuphi umuntu ngoba uyerespecta. Ngimhambisile kwi-Islamic school. He knows about respecting people. So now lento yangiphatha kakhulu ukuthi angenza into enje.
I know, Ma, you spoke to us about getting him help. Looking at the whole situation now, what assistance do you think that he needs?
I think kumina njengomzali sengike ngakhuluma maybe last week ngimtshela ukuthi if I'm talking to umdali ngimtshela umdali ngalento yakhe. Umdali wanginika ngamkhulisa wazwangaka so ke mesekhethe lento umdali uyayizwa lento kumina njengomzali wakhe mase kufika leli finde limnyama phambi kwakhe that means umdali ubuyisela kuyena ukuthi zonke izinto ezimbi ucela yeke njengokubhema i-drug lo muntu nengane isikhulile ifike lapha ekhaya ino 3 months eshonelo uma wayo enza grade 11 so ke ngiyacabanga ukuthi ukubhema mhlambe kumsusa kulezo zinto ngoba singazanga thina ukuthi kwakufanele simuse kuma social worker ayokhuluma ngalento.
Mhlambe nje ukukhuluma nomndeni waka Mongale ma njengomndeni waka Ngubane ikuphi mapha amazwi mhlambe eningathanda ukwasho kubo kulesi sikhathi?
Kulomndeni nami ngiyaxolisa ngiyabeka ukuthi umdala unabo ukuze bakwazi ukuthi bambambe nalomuntu owakwazi ukwenza lento sithi uNkulunkulu abe nabo izinto ezenzekayo kulesikhathi sanamhlanje abathethelele la beyonekele khona ngiyabonga.
Siyabonga kakhulu ma. I'd like to close it off with you, Fezile, and once again, thank you so much for your time. Lastly, just looking at how this whole ordeal has happened, what would you say what would you say rather is the way forward for you after this has happened? Your family, your parents saying they only want the best for you. It's been a number of years trying to get you assistance. What would you say you'd like to see happen going forward?
No, I wouldn't like to say a lot, but I would just like to say change. Change is the only way from now on forth. Yeah, change is the only way from now on forth. That's the only way I could say it out.
Fezile, thank you so much for speaking to us this afternoon. I'm just going to leave that conversation there, but there's quite a lot that we can gather from this conversation, even just speaking to the victim that stands next to me, this now being Fezile Ngubane, who has been cleared by the police. This this is now just yesterday, releasing a statement mentioning that the deceased, it seems as if took advantage of Fezile Ngubane, where we understand that even at some point we're told he would take his card and purchase clothes at different stores. And coming from Fezile, they're explaining how that process of the deceased then even just getting his ID to recur those different SIM cards, where we know that they were used for different crimes, when you are then looking at kidnapping and robbery. But from the parents speaking to us about how they would like to get assistance for Fezile, we do understand that coming from the parents, then there's been much conversation, much has been said throughout the years in terms of trying to get him assistance. But he states that even looking at the time when he was mentioned to have been in Joburg, his parents and himself speaking about how he wasn't in Joburg, he was in KZN, and also just speaking to us about how he doesn't even know the other alleged suspect, who at this point we understand is still on the run, is still being hunted by the police, that being Bongani Mthimkhulu. But from this conversation, we do understand that the Ngubane family, speaking to the Mongale family, sending their condolences, and also just speaking about how, this has also affected them as a family, as their son has been a victim then of the deceased, and this is now Philangenkosi Makhanya. But from this conversation, we can then confirm that from the family, this is now the Ngubane family, they do insist that indeed Fezile Ngubane was a victim.
Right, Silethiwe, much appreciated. Thanks for your intervention this afternoon. That's Silethiwe and Ndlovu. They're live for us in KZ. And the Ngubane family welcoming the news of their son being cleared. He, of course, also welcoming the news, even though still apprehensive of the community backlash and what some of the comments have been on social media, and a plea from him for some assistance, particularly around his addiction. Of course, that is a story that continues to develop as more information is beginning to come in. Let's take a break. The Newsfeed PM continues shortly. Stay with us.